This is the evening news in tonight's headlines. 28th session of LACFC opens in Guyana. Wanted bulletin issued for bikers murderer. And Guyana's financial sector to face sanctions. I'm Samuel Suknandin. Thanks for joining us for your Monday, September 9, 2013 edition of the evening news. And now for the news in detail. The 28th session of the Latin American and Caribbean Forestry Commission, LACFC, opened on Monday in Guyana, the International Conference Center, with more than 40 regional forestry experts in attendance. Whitney Prasad filed this report.
President Donald Ramotar stated that Guyana continues to play a leading role in the forestry sector, alluding it to the Low Carbon Development Strategy, LCDS.
In Guyana, our forest resources provide one of the main building blocks of our economy. In the forest sector, we see a significant spread of employment opportunities facilitated at the large operator level, community levels, and the village economy. As the forests of Guyana support our national economy and economic development, their contribution to the livelihood of our indigenous peoples is also very significant. A rich history of tradition, culture, and customs are nested within the forest inhabitants by our indigenous peoples, and these areas have been sustainably managed for centuries.
On the regional level, President Ramotar said advocacy within the trade and multilateral arena is very evident, noting that Ghana has a strong role in the work of key regional bodies such as CARICOM, Amazon Corporate Treaty Organization ACTO, the Union of South American Nations UNOSOR, the United Nations Development Program UNDP, and the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO. The head of state said that locally the forestry sector has made a significant contribution to the economy, pointing out that Ghana has recorded consistent growth over the last 5 years despite a challenging global economic climate. Meanwhile, the Minister of Natural Resources and the Environment, Robert Prasad, also spoke about the important role the forestry sector has played in the development of the country.
In the past 9 months, Guyana has seen declared gold production surpassing previous years and timber production increasing when compared to previous years. These sectors are based in forests and are sustained by continuing efforts in good environmental stewardship and management, as well as utilizing internationally approved organizational management systems. In Guyana, the forest sector is very important to our national economy. The sector employs close to 20,000 persons and contributes between $40 to $60 million annually in export earnings, as well as record an average production level of approximately 420,000 cubic meters of extracted timber. We also have a growing community forestry program that reflects at present close to 70 community forestry organizations with membership of close to 3,000 persons.
The 28th session of LACFC will conclude on Friday, September 13, with the establishment of a work program the year 2013 and 2014. Participating countries will also use the forum as a platform to discuss their local forestry programs, in addition to the role of the FAO in the context of sustainable forest management and climate change. For the evening news, Whitney Prasad.
Hours after Acting Commissioner of Police Leroy Brummel released the identity of the alleged gunman who shot and killed superbiker Kirk Davis in Eccles on the east bank of Demerara, the police on Monday issued a wanted bulletin for the 28-year-old businessman. Bashar Mohammed has more.
Randy Jagdi of Lot 159 3rd Street, Alexander Village, who allegedly committed the act on September 3, has since been on the run and is believed to have left the country. According to new information, moments after the biker's execution, the businessman was seen at a popular drinking spot on Sheriff Street, acting in a normal manner. A close friend of both of the men reportedly approached the businessman, informing him of Davis's demise, thinking that he was not aware. After receiving word that Jagdio was the alleged killer, police have searched the man's house but were unsuccessful. His wife, who was also shot on the fatal night, remains a patient at the city hospital and is recuperating speedily, but is reportedly fearful for her life. Davis and Jagdeo were good friends, and this incident has drawn a lot of speculations as to the motive of the killing, which is still to be made known to the public. Despite several attempts to apprehend the businessman, his family remains tight-lipped, claiming that they have not heard nor seen from him since the shooting incident. On Tuesday evening last, the businessman allegedly went to Davis's home and an argument ensued. The businessman reportedly whipped out a 9mm pistol and deliberately shot his wife twice, who was also in the car, forcing her to release information about money and the relationship she and Davis shared. He then turned the gun on Davis and shot him. Bashar Mohammed, The Evening News.
The Caribbean Financial Action Task Force will be inviting countries to impose sanctions on Ghana's financial sector because of failure to make the Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Finance of Terrorism Bill into law. It will take several years before Ghana is removed from that list of incompetent countries. Whitney Prasad explains.
When the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force CFATF would have completed Ghana's assessment come November, there is no doubt that the country will be on an international blacklisting of incompetent countries. This is the sentiment expressed by Legal Affairs Minister Anant Lal, who said that CFATF will be urging regional and international partners to impose sanctions on businesses and financial institutions here in Ghana as seen fit.
The People's Progressive Party continues to view with deep trepidation the perils which Guyana continues to be exposed to as a result of the opposition's failure to pass the Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Financing of Terrorism Bill, which is before the Parliament.
Even though Ghana has not been effective in implementing recommendations and passing into law the anti-money laundering legislation, the country still submitted its report to CFATF on August 26. Nandlal noted that the 90% of the recommendations which Ghana is required to implement and should have included in that report are contained in those bills that are currently at standstill in the Special Select Committee.
The position may very well be that Guyana would be placed on that list of delinquent countries, and CFATF would invite countries to impose sanctions as they see fit on Guyana and businesses operating in Guyana. On the outside of the legislative requirement, the government, of course, is working strenuously and assiduously to ensure that the non-legislative components of the recommendations are complied with.
Nandlal argued that the joint opposition with its one-seat majority used its powers to manipulate the pace at which the legislation was deliberated in the National Assembly. And with APN News' Basil Williams being chairman of the Special Select Committee, a next combined effort was used to block the bill from being discussed until Parliament calls after recess. Despite all this, government is still working assiduously to comply with the other 10% of recommendations outside of the anti-money laundering legislation. This includes the establishment of reporting entities, supervisory authorities, drafting of guidelines to illustrate how entities must operate, and also the establishment of a national task force. For the Evening News, Whitney Prasad.
Cooperatives and friendly societies can face closure if they fail to make contact with the Labour, Human Services and Social Security Ministry by November 30. Details in this report. Labour Minister Dr. Nanda Gopal said this move is necessary for the auditing of financial records for this year. He told this newscast that reports have indicated that there are co-ops that have not held elections for an extensive period, creating a series of problems such as poor financial records. Approximately 1,000 co-ops are registered under the Cooperatives Societies Act, Chapter 8801, but a large number of them are dysfunctional or on the brink of a collapse due to financial difficulties.
Many of the co-ops that have not had elections for years, that they have not had audited accounts for years.
When contact is made with the Ministry of Labour, systems will be put in place for the holding of elections for co-ops whose progress has been stymied due to the lack of elections. The minister noted that in addition to the auditing of co-ops' financial records, the reassessment of cooperative societies will determine whether these societies are fulfilling their mandates.
We cannot have cooperatives which are not fulfilling their mandates and just a few people move into these co-ops, take over, especially land co-ops, the entire block of land, and perhaps sell the lots in an illegal manner.
Additionally, he will be making recommendations for land titles and benefits to be given to cooperative movements that continue to perform exceptionally well. According to the minister, the cooperative movement in the country, the third largest institution, owns in excess of $15 billion in assets, and this cannot be compromised. Similar treatment will be meted out to the hundreds of non-governmental organizations, NGOs, in the country registered under the Friendly Societies Act, Chapter 3604. These friendly societies will be held accountable, in particular those who have been soliciting financial assistance from the public for the execution of various activities. For the Evening News, I'm Samuel Suknandan. Join us after these messages for more of the Evening News. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the Evening News. The Ministry of Education, in observance of Literacy Day, distributed free books to the general public on Monday in an effort to encourage more reading among Guyanese. Let's join Sabatini Daniels for more details.
Literacies for the 21st Century is the theme under which International Literacy Day was observed on Sunday. As such, the Ministry of Education, in an effort to increase literacy in Guyana, handed out free books to the public today. Education Minister Priya Manikchand visited several tents set up in Georgetown where she met with adults and children, encouraging them to read. Manikchand told this newscast that the response from the public to the campaign was overwhelming, noting that it caught on quickly.
I believe there's much we can do, and there's much that we are going to be doing from the ministry. We are not just going to pelt a plan out there, we're going to have particular outcomes that we will look for and that we will measure to see if we're getting where we want to go from year to year.
The Education Minister further stated that she is aware that there are some areas that needs to be reviewed in terms of students' literacy performance. However, she noted that Guyana is not in a terrible place as it relates to literacy among children. The minister encouraged all Guyanese to read and said there are a lot of materials available, while adding that the internet can also be used to improve literacy skills. Manikchand is also urging parents to encourage their children to read.
It is absolutely important, if you can read, that you do to your children. I think it was Mark Twain who said that if you can read and you don't, it doesn't give you any advantage over the person who cannot read. And so in the same way, when you're growing up, you look to add skills to your repertoire of skills. You go swim and learn to swim, and that's a skill you acquire, and you learn to drive, and that's a skill you acquire. If you have the skill of being able to read, then make sure you use it sensibly and wisely. As a parent, read to your children, and if you can't read to your children and they have learned to read in school, and make sure you sit down and you watch them while they read for particular times every day. Don't put it off. Let today be the day that you begin to read for your children 15, 20 minutes every single day, or that you watch your children read for 15 to 20 minutes, not their schoolwork. Doing homework is a different thing. I'm talking about reading something else, just developing the habit of reading.
The Evening News caught up with several persons who believe that the initiative is an excellent idea to promote literacy.
Parents today don't involve their children in reading. And if they sit with the children and teach them to read, then they would like the reading. We have to start from small. Don't wait till they get big to start them. When they're small babies, you start them from them. And they could continue, and they would eventually like reading.
Owing to the mere fact that textbooks are very expensive in Guyana, not only in Guyana, all over the world, this is a great intervention by the Ministry of Education. And I do hope that since these books are being distributed for free, we all make the best use of them so that we could become better people in society.
I see reading as very essential, necessary for everyday learning. There is the internet, but the books are always here. You can always come into the library and find the book and read it.
The initiative took place in Regions 2, 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10. The ministry also encouraged Guyanese to take part in the Give a Book and Drop Everything and Read initiatives. Sabatini Daniels reporting for the Evening News.
Government will be moving soon to implement a literacy plan of action to improve the level of literacy among Guyanese and encourage reading at all levels. Here's more in this story. In an effort to improve the literacy level in Guyana, Education Minister Priya Manichan has announced plans to implement the strategy which will cater for all ages and groups of persons in society. In her message to mark World Literacy Day, Manichan said that everyone is entitled to the right of literacy. She said there is a need for every Guyanese to acquire basic literacy skills and expand on that later. The Education Minister said, and I quote, "We must sustain a culture of love for knowledge across this nation. We must inculcate in our Guyanese citizens an embrace of innovative thinking, of original ideas, of fresh exploration of the world of knowledge, ideas and information." End of quote. The minister added that the national literacy program must be widened to include all persons and crafted in such a way that every Guyanese citizen, regardless of age, background and persuasion, must be able to read and write.
We are going to detail for the population how it is we intend to make literacy programs accessible to both people in the classrooms, children in the classrooms, as well as adults who may not have the time to come to classrooms. Of course, mass media is going to play a huge role in that, making those programs accessible.
Manichan said over the past decades, significant amounts of money have been expended on physical infrastructure, teacher training, providing teaching resources, and looking after the welfare of school children across the country to improve literacy. Such is based on the government budgeting well for education year after year and has resulted in a young nation producing renowned leaders, great writers, internationally acclaimed intellectuals, accomplished thinkers and world-class citizens. Quote, "Our commitment and resolve to develop this nation on the solid foundation of education and literacy is an outstanding tribute to the visionaries who shaped us as a nation, always emphasizing literacy and education. We need to recommit ourselves to this vision." End of quote, Manichan stated. The Ministry of Education has planned a number of activities to observe Education Month and plans to zoom in on promoting a higher level of numeracy and literacy in Guyana. Education Month is being observed under the theme Transforming Classrooms in the 21st Century. For the Evening News, I'm Samuel Suknandan. A motorcyclist is now a patient at a private medical institution after he collided with a minibus at number 74 Public Road, Quarantine Berbice on Sunday. Bastia Bola, 22 of number 38 Village, Quarantine Berbice, is nursing a fractured leg and abrasions to his body and is said to be in a stable condition. The accident occurred at about 14 hours 45 and involved minibus BLL 6922 driven by Muhammad Ali of Line Pad, Karivaton, Berbice and motorcycle CF 3809. The driver of the minibus was arrested and is assisting with the investigations. Every allegation of wrongdoing which has been named by the Alliance for Change AFC against Side Global was made against the party's chairman Nigel Hughes in his capacity as company secretary of that same company. This was maintained by Legal Affairs Minister Anant Lal. Whitney Prasad tells us more.
About a year ago, wife of Finance Minister Dr. Ashni Singh had been accused by the Alliance for Change AFC of being in the midst of controversy because of her designation as Deputy Auditor General of the country. That party created chaos while maintaining that it was a grim situation to have her hold the position. But now in 2013, AFC's chairman Nigel Hughes and his wife Cathy Hughes both hold top position with partnering companies related to the Myla Falls hydropower project. Questions are now revolving around the two and their party's promise to be an instrument of change in Guyana, a party that once said it will refrain from corruption and inject into Guyana's landscape political morality. Legal Affairs Minister Anant Lal today said that even with Hughes being company secretary and repository of all documents critical to site's involvement with the project, the party still went to the National Assembly and called for government to provide that information.
When one examines the record thus far, one will definitely see that they have abysmally failed to discharge that mandate which they have arrogated onto themselves. The latest issue on this matter, which our General Secretary spoke about, and that is the Nigel Hughes fiasco amply illustrates the point.
Anant Lal said this is a clear indication of the party's double standards and non-commitment to their supporters and the people of Guyana. He recalled that one of the major concerns that were regularly highlighted by the AFC over the years is their thirst for disclosure of information surrounding the project.
And here it is. No other than the chairman of this political party has admitted that he is in a position of a conflict of interest and has tendered his resignation. And the resignation has been refused and later withdrawn, and he is back in the political party. Let me elaborate a little further. The company for which this gentleman is the company secretary, and thus far he remains the company secretary. He has not resigned from the position of company secretary. This is a company that the very Alliance for Change has accused of innumerable irregularities.
After it came to light that Hughes was the company secretary of Site Global, the AFC chairman tendered his resignation, which was not accepted. A few days back, he confirmed with reporters to have withdrawn his resignation and also is back in his position as chairman of the AFC. For the Evening News, Whitney Prasad.
More of the evening news after these messages. Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. The University of Ghana Senior Staff Association, UGSSA, and the University of Ghana Workers' Union, UGWU, are planning to take further protest action against Vice-Chancellor Dr. Jacob Opodei until their concerns are addressed. More in this report. UGSSA President Dr. Pat Francis told his newscast that both unions will not stop until something is done to address the many issues facing its members. According to Dr. Francis, the Vice-Chancellor is yet to meet with union representatives to discuss a way forward. She explained that UG staffers are still working under poor conditions and nothing has changed.
Unfortunately, the Vice-Chancellor is not empowered to act on matters dealing with finances and the staff, like matters with respect to salaries and other such matters. Those matters have to go to the negotiating team. However, those matters which the Vice-Chancellor has authority to act on, we are quite dismayed at the action that he is has taken.
Dr. Francis said the UGSSA has written Dr. Opodei to have a meeting with the negotiating team that was set up to look at the union's concerns. However, today the union has not received any response on the matter. The union hopes to present its demands for increases in wages and salaries and to look at the pension scheme for staff, along with other financial matters.
To date, we have received no response from him. We'll be giving him another few days. Perhaps he's trying to put the team together. So we are waiting on him, but the staff is very agitated and we do not intend to wait an eternity on that matter because we are ready.
Aside from that, Dr. Francis noted that the university has not been paying in monies to the pension scheme on time and the pension scheme is in a perilous state. She wants this matter to be addressed soon. Further, the UGSSA said it is dismayed at the action Dr. Opodei has taken as regards many issues under his duty and the alleged threats he has made to reduce the status of the university. Dr. Francis said her union is particularly upset about that issue and said the Vice-Chancellor had suggested that lecturers teach 18 hours.
This is not done at any university anywhere in the world, certainly not the one from which he came. Secondly, he has not done anything to really secure the problems which affect quality assurance.
According to other staff, the authorities are claiming that inflation is being kept at bay and calls for increased salaries are out of the question. However, reports indicate that staffers have not received an increase for a number of years. Reports disclosed also that on average $60 million is provided monthly to the university. However, this is inadequate since more funding is needed to pay part-time lecturers, retirees, staff on study leave, and staff gratuities. For Evening News, I'm Samuel Suknandan. In light of recent revelations that government is considering importing stone to facilitate the amount of infrastructural works which have to be completed in the country, BK International Inc. today opposed this, stating that it has more than enough stones to supply these projects. Sabatini Daniels joins us with this report.
The company revealed that currently at its Kingston site it has an average of about 10,000 tons of stones in storage, while another 10,000 is in storage at its quarry. The company's quarry produces between 30,000 to 40,000 tons of stones per month, which it maintains is more than enough to supply its customers' demand. BK International Inc. Director Bryony Tiwari said there are no outstanding orders from contractors at present. She is presuming that the factor for slow work being carried out is rain. She noted that another issue is that the company has limited its credit customers.
Meaning that for the past 2 years, our credit line has exceeded $50 million, and as such, I have put a hold on that and I require that payment be made on delivery of materials.
Meanwhile, the company's quality engineer Julian Archer noted that at present the government is permitting the importation of slate stone, which is of inferior quality than the stone produced by BK, adding that this poses a major threat on the long-term viability of the work produced.
The difference between the slate stone and our stone, there's a difference of 20% in absorption, which means that stone will take more asphalt, which means there's additional cost in the road construction if we use the slate stone. Our next vital property is the wear index. That shows you a difference in strength of 11%, which our stone is far more superior than that stone in terms of the load bearing ratio. When it comes to stability, that is the weight of the road taking out the traffic.
BK International Inc. owner Brian Tiwari added too that the company's main concern is that the government is importing slate stone, which is substandard to stones here, positing that it should aid local companies to expand their businesses. This newscast made contact with Public Works Minister Robeson Ben today to inquire whether the government is indeed importing inferior quality of stones and if it will cease from importing such. However, this proved futile. Sabatini Daniels reporting for the Evening News.
Guyana's economy is looking more lucrative to foreign investors as their numbers are increasing, this time with another Surinamese businessman taking the plunge in the local mining sector by investing millions of dollars in expanding his mining supplies company here. More from Sabatini Daniels.
HFD Mining Supplies is a subsidiary of a Surinamese-based company which is specialized in supplying all mining equipment, including high-quality gold detectors. Owner of HFD Mining Supplies, Carol Dawson, said that he feels at home in Guyana because of the close relationship and similarities between the two countries. He noted that his venture into the Guyanese market is because of its economic explosion here over the last decade.
What's happening here this afternoon is not only an investment for me, but a realization of this dream of being part of the continued economic explosion taking place in Guyana. I feel honored and privileged to be here. Minister, I want to tell you that I've been welcomed by the people of Guyana from all walks of life and in setting of my business. I've been facilitated throughout the process with courtesy and efficiency, especially efficiency. I look forward to the future and the growth of my business here in Guyana.
Natural Resources and Environment Minister Robert Prasad expressed his delight in seeing more Surinamese investors entering Guyana's market, while noting that Guyanese businesses should also look for opportunities in the neighboring country to invest and expand their businesses.
The relationship between Guyana and Suriname, as the ambassador can testify, and hearing you as just as a citizen and a business person from Suriname, is certainly healthy. And it is our intention as a government to ensure that we maintain that good relationship and that at the end of the day we make it possible for two peoples, our business community, and even our political leaders to ensure that we build on the successes we've had so far.
Meanwhile, Chairman of the Trade, Intelligence and Investment Committee of the Private Sector Commission, Ramesh Duku, said that the private sector welcomes such investments since Guyana is an economic bubble that keeps bubbling all the time. President of the Guyana Gold and Diamond Miners Association, Patrick Hardin, stated that they are looking to upgrade the equipment used in mining sector. Hence, he urged the businessman to invest in new technology to enhance the operation of the mining sector. Sabatini Daniels reporting for the Evening News.
4 men are now in police custody and are expected to be charged with simple larceny after they were caught red-handed stealing chickens from a relative's farm at Firish, Currentine, Berbice. Sunil Pratap, also called Baba, 19, and his teenage brother of Lot 1, Section B, Firish Village, Currentine, Berbice, along with Hari Lal and Ishwar Muklal, were detained at the Wim police station assisting with investigations. According to information received, Amir Ashmel owns and operates a chicken farm with Johns Village, Portmorant, Currentine, and it was reported to law enforcement officers that persons have been stealing chickens and other livestock on numerous occasions. The men were arrested and are assisting with the investigations. Join us after these messages for your Evening News Sportscast, sponsored by Macor. Welcome back, and now for a look at sport. World number 1 Serena Williams won her 5th U.S. Open title in a thrilling final against Victoria Azarenka at Flushing Meadows. The American 31 overcame a determined opponent and a testing win to win 7-5, 6-7, 6-1, and a repeat of last year's final victory against her. Williams has now won 17 Grand Slam singles titles. Several teams recorded victories at the weekend when the Georgetown Interward basketball tournament tipped off at the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall. Details from Tristan Joseph.
All Boys Town Charlestown made a strong statement in pursuit of their title defense when the Trinity Grid Holding Pace Setters Interward basketball tipped off over the weekend at the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall. All Boys Town Charlestown defeated Lodge Meadowbrook 50-145 in the first clash of the tournament as the defending champs dominated the game with their perimeter game, using a 20-4 point run in the second quarter to take a firm grip of the encounter. Dave Causeway missed a double-double by 1 rebound, scoring 13 points and grabbing 9 rebounds. Sheldon Thomas added a game high of 22 points for All Boys Town Charlestown in the opening game for the defending champs. In other action, Wortmanville Working Russ gained a walkover against North Rumvelt, while Pleasance Vryslus defeated Tugville Gayak to close out the weekend's action. Games will continue every weekend until the final of the tournament on September 29th.
Tate Ryan Chandrapal slammed a brilliant 123 not out to lead Enmore to a resounding victory over Mahika in a friendly 30-over encounter on Sunday. Batting first, Enmore posted an imposing 186 for 5, with the young Chandrapal hitting 16 fours and 1-6 in his innings. In reply, Mahika's innings never got going, being dismissed for 108 to lose by the wide margin of 78 runs. Answer McCall Trading, through its Stag Beer brand, on Monday launched the Tri-Cook Memorial Knockout Football Tournament, set to kick off on Friday. Tristan Joseph has the details.
Under the sponsorship of Stag Beer, the Campton Football Club launched their inaugural Tri-Cook Memorial Knockout Football Tournament on Monday at Anson McCall's headquarters. The tournament will begin on Friday, September 13th, and will feature 8 of the top clubs in Guyana competing for the top prize of $500,000, second $200,000, and third $100,000. Founder of the Campton Club, Rudy Bishop, spoke on the importance of the tournament, explaining why it was dubbed the Troy Cook Football Tournament.
The reason why it's Troy Cook Memorial, Troy Cook is the player who stayed back. He had his permanent visa for the United States. And he stayed back to play for the Demico League. With all the big stars that we had, we never won the Demico League. We went to the finals about umpteen times, never crossed the hurdle. Troy Sophie Cook, as we call him, stayed back after receiving his permanent for about 3 months. During the period, we won the first Kashif and Shanghai Trophy, which Troy played a game like a man possessed, and then went on to win the Demico League Trophy. Subsequently to that, he went on to the States, and within a couple months, he died because he had a heart ailment, which he never knew about.
Stag Bear brand manager John Michael was elated to be a part of the tournament, noting what he expects from the competition.
It's a pleasure once again to be associated with football in Guyana. I think this is the first time we are doing a competition in within the GFA, correct?
Yes.
Right, Mr. GFA. And we're very happy to be associated with these top teams. I think is the cream of the crop, the 8 teams selected, and I just would like to say Stag is happy and want to see fair tournament. Stag wants to promote fair play, no corruption, and may the better team win.
Public Relations Officer of Anson McCall, Darshni Yusuf, noted that Anson McCall's major part in sport is due to the approach that persons have been coming forward with.
It's not just us seeing and say, oh, we want to do great things in sports. It's the people coming forward with these amazing proposals and making us say yes. So they're giving us the opportunity to be, one of the main helpers. I don't want to say the leader, but one of the main helpers in the development of sport in this country.
The tournament will begin on September 13th from 1800 hours, with Fruta Conquerors facing the Georgetown Football Club, while Pili Football Club will take on Santos Football Club at the Compton Football Ground.
Remember, you can read about these and other stories in tomorrow's edition of the Ghana Times newspaper, which can be picked up from vendors across the country. When you're not reading our newspaper or watching TVG Channel 28, do tune into Radio Ghana Inc. RGI on 89.3, 89.5 or 89.7 FM. Your Brit reports are next. Welcome back, and now for a look at your bridge reports. The Demo Harbour Bridge will be closed on Tuesday, September 10 at 5 hours 30 for a period of 1.5 hours. And the Berbice River Bridge will be closed on Tuesday, September 10 at 7 hours 05 for a period of 1.5 hours. That's your Monday, September 9, 2013 edition of the Evening News. I'm Samuel Signandan. Thanks for joining us.